Hello, everybody. This is Alex from Test Savant, and today I'm going to show you guys the complete guide to Flowise, and we're going to go from all the way from the beginning of installation all the way to the end, where we can actually have an application. So, if you guys want to check out how we can go from these giant flows here using Flowise and be able to create something like this. Check it out. It's just a super silly ass, super simple website where we have a chatbot that's embedded in there. Or if you want to know how to create an actual standalone little applet where a super simple fancy AI chatbot like this, well, hang out and I'm going to show you guys how to go through and do all of this. But for now, if you give me a huge favor and click like and subscribe, and also check out in the comment section, I have a link to my Test Savant sign up page where if you put in all you got to do is get your email and first name, last name, and sign up to get 30 plus collab notebooks and GitHub repos. And if you guys sign up, then I'll send you over links to pretty much all of these here, and this will include all of the greatest tools out there right now with Langchain. And these are all nicely organized in collab notebooks, and you get access to the GitHub repos. So just to show you an example, these are all the collab notebooks that I have, and these are all of these and more of GitHub, where these are all functional codes, functional applications. So sign up. I appreciate all of you guys. Now hang out and let's see how we go from the beginning. Now, what is Flowise? Flowise is a nice, neat UI tool that allows us to build LLM apps really easily. Fairly intuitive, and there's a GitHub repo right here. So GitHub repo, if you go to actually Flowise, they'll have this also in the description. And in their GitHub, you see Flowise, Flowise AI. And what you do is you come over here and you fork this over into your own repo. All right, so fork this over into your own repo. And this is kind of what it looks like. Here is my Test Savant Flowise repo. And once you fork that over, this is what it's going to look like. If you already have this forked over and you want to make sure that you have you're up to date, all you got to do is click here on the sync fork. Ooh, my branch is out of date. All right, so let's take a look. We're going to be able to actually see how I update the entire thing. So branch is out of date. We're going to update. All right, beautiful. This branch is now up to date. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take Flowise and we're going to use render in order to get that out there on the internet. We're going to install it on render, and then we'll be able to use it pretty much anywhere from a web address. You can also install all of this locally, and you can see here in the description of the GitHub repository on how to go about doing all of this, right? So really easy to install locally. All you have to do is get your VS Code application up, and what I would do is I would probably activate a virtual environment and then install this. So just to give you guys an idea, let's take a look at this GitHub repo. I would do a git clone and then come up here. What we're going to do is we're going to click on the code. We're going to get the HTTPS address of this repository. I'm going to git clone. I'm going to paste that in, and boom. And here we go. It's downloading. We're already there. Excellent. So now I'm going to CD into Flowise. There it is. Let's see. I'm going to list and take a look at what we have in here. We have the directories here. All right. So what I can do now is activate the virtual environment. All right. All right. The command for that will be Python do -m virtual environment, and then we're going to call it Flowise. I don't think capital. Okay, so that should create the virtual environment. Okay. So now let's take a look at, let's do a quick little ls. Do we have, where's our script? Okay. And so we created our virtual environment. Our virtual environment is going to be right here in the Flowise. So we can actually go cd Flowise. We can, well, we don't even need to do that. We can do a Flowise scripts activate. Boom. Okay. So you'll see when we did the initial command, which was this one, Python v environment Flowise, we created the Flowise folder with scripts in there. And then the scripts that we're going to be using is activate and deactivate in order to get in and out of the virtual environment. And when you've activated the virtual environment, you'll see the name that we created here, it comes up in a different color. So this means that now we can install and do whatever we want in this kind of encapsulated environment that's not going to harm the rest of anything of a thing. So anything else that you got installed. In here, we already did the clone. So all we got to do is, if we go back to the repo, all right, so go back to the Flowise repo. We can then come in here and then copy paste that command. Boom. Note project manager or something like that. Install and Flowise. And here we go. So it's going to go through all of this gobbledygooky. But take a look. It looks pretty neat. It's got all kinds of little twitchy icons. So check it out, hang out for a bit, watch it, and then when it finishes, I'll be back. All right. After a few minutes, and here are the messages. Just take a look. You want to compare it to what you got, but we're finished. All right. So now let's take a look at what's our next. All right. The next one is just really easy. The npx Flowise start. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works from the beginning. Fingers crossed. And listening data server data source has been initialized. All right. Come on, start. What do we expect at the end here? We're expecting some kind of a server listening port, right? So we're anticipating be able to click on something. All right. Okay, so we go. It's going to be local source, right? So local host. Yeah, 3000. There it is. Okay. So here we go. So now this is basically running here on our local machine. We can do whatever we want. We can import a load database, and I already have a database stored, which I'll show you guys how to do. Really easy. So I have a database. Let's see if that can be imported. Boom. Here's my database. It's imported. We have it running locally. Fantastic. Now let me show you how we can do this on render. All right. So render, very cool online web, web service, web page hosting app, which makes really easy to deploy everything here. So what are we gonna do? Well, Flowise, all right. Let's see, is this guy connected? Yeah, I don't know why it's doing all of that, but let me show you guys how to go about rolling stuff out here with Flowise. So we go to new, we go to web service. Over here, you guys are going to see the GitHub section. Connect your GitHub. Right? When you connect to GitHub, it's going to list all of the repos in your GitHub. What I'm going to do, we're going to find the Flowise one. Let's connect. Okay, let's give it a name. Let's give it a name. Flowise is great. Okay, unique name from a web service. All right, we're gonna go down here. We're gonna pick starter. We're gonna pay $7 a month, because if we want to do it for free, just keep in mind it's probably gonna go away when it's inactive. So I think like a couple of 15 minutes or so. Once you stop using, 15 minutes, boom, goes away. You're gonna have to come back here and restart. So we picked this the cheapest one for our little application here. We don't really need much more. Click advanced. All right, in advanced, we don't really need to worry about much over here, but in the future, do use environmental variables and secret files where you can add the whole .env file. And let's go down here. What do we need? We need actually no, we don't need anything down there. What we need is main root, Flowise great. Okay, add this. Let's check Docker path. Okay, that's what's going on. So we don't need Docker. We need node. Okay, get node. Node's going to give us build commands. Start command. We're almost all here, but one more that we will need, right? If we check this out, we go down a little bit, and you'll see that it goes to the yarn commands here. All right, so what we need to do is we need to make sure that all of the commands for yarn are included in this render list. So what do we have? We have yarn install, yarn build, yarn start. What do we have here? We got yarn build, yarn start. So what we have to do is add yarn install and put a semicolon. We're good to go. Create. Bada boom. All right. Goes to the next screen right here, which is the logs. And here you get to see exactly what's going on as it's rolling out. So check this out, hang out for a bit, watch it, but I'm going to pause it because I ain't got time for all this, and then come back. Okay, it's been a few minutes, so you can see it's still going. This is normal. It's going to take probably about 3 to 5 minutes. Depends on how the interwebs is feeling these days. So just hang in there. And while you wait, again, just want to remind you, please click like, subscribe, and leave a comment with what you'd like to see as far as use cases that we can put together with this tool. And again, don't forget, subscribe to the GitHub repo, and the Colab notebook list. I'll send you guys a whole bunch of awesome information. All you got to do is just put in your email, first and last name, and here's a parrot. Thank you. I appreciate you all. And now back to our regularly scheduled text watch. And a few moments later, here we go. Our service is now live. Excellent. All right. So that means now this link right here, Flowise is great on render.com, should be fully functional. Ta-da! And yes, it is. So you can have it here locally, 127.0.0.0.1, or you can have it on the web. I prefer it here, but that is somewhat of a little bit of a different process. Still relatively easy and cost just a bit of money. But here's what we can do now. So we here on the left, we got our API keys. Get yourself a create a key. We got marketplace with awesome examples here, worth checking out every single one of them. Go ahead and do so. And then when you click on chat flows, it's your own chat flows. And of course, open, close, night vision. All right. And then load database, export database. This is your save, main save function. So make sure you put this one to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to load the database that I already had previously, brings in my chat flows. And let's go through a few of them. Let's check them out. What did I got? I got one that's WebGPT. All right, so switch over to dark. I prefer that. All right, so WebGPT. This guy, it chats with a web browser. All right, so what do we have here? We got a conversational agent. It chats with a web browser using Chat OpenAI. It does the embeddings here with OpenAI, and it has a buffer memory. Now, where are all these plates coming from? These plates are all coming here from the left. Awesome little arrangement of everything that you need. Agents, chains, chain models, document loaders, embeddings, LLMs, memory, prompts, retrievers, text splitters, tools, vector stores. All right. How do you get them? Pop them down, and you get to see all of these awesome tools. So this is the vector store. Why is there two? Usually one because upload the data into your vector database, and one to pull it out. Or you can just do an in-memory one here. It does it both ways. So I like to use Pinecone. I'm going to show you how to use Pinecone in a minute as well. We're going to both load and pull documents or pull information from our upsert. So we're going to load the existing index. So yeah, we're going to upsert documents. We're going to create an index, and then we're going to speak to that index. And I'll show you how. This is the tool that's going to speak to a website. All right. How did we do this? Well, very easy. Go ahead and find each of these tiles. All right. So for example, here we got our buffer memory. All right. You go into memory, and we got a buffer memory. Buffer window memory, conversational summary memory, different types of memory, pretty much same thing, just different applications. Okay. You can do chains, these different chains in combination. We're able to get some APIs. We're able to post some APIs. We can create a conversation chain and have a bunch of cool functionality, multi-chain, multi-prompt chain, multi-retrieval QA chain, where we can chat to different documents and different vector stores. And I'll show you this momentarily. So hang in there. Chat OpenAI, there's our chat models. And as of late, I also noticed that Flowise, the guys at Flowise there, added, let's see, what do we have? We have LLM here. And what is it that I saw them? Oh, Hugging Face inference embeddings, which is cool. That's great. So basically, this is open source embeddings, and a great addition. Let's take a look what else they have. They have different prompts here, a chat prompt, few shot prompt, or you get put a couple of different examples, and then the prompt template as well, where you can specify what perhaps your bot is going to act like. There's a lot of possibilities here. Retriever, prompt retriever, vector store retriever. So what is all this, and where is it all coming from? Where it's coming straight from Langchain. So this is what's going on here, right? This is a wrapper for Langchain. It's a UI tile moving, tile connecting application for Langchain. But if you take a look at this menu that it's got over here on the left, right? Look at all this all these listings? Well, these listings are here. They're in Langchain documentation. So it's it's one-to-one pretty much. You got models, prompts, memory, indexes, chains, agents, right? So whatever you want to know, that's what's in there. So like, for example, look at all these tools, right? So this is all the tools that you're able to access with Langchain. I don't think Flowise has all of them, but you do have a good deal of tools, right? So this is the way that you would access them. And if you want to learn more, you can go into Langchain documentation. In this case, it's going to be the Python documentation, and it'll give you a summary of everything that's going on under the hood, even though this application currently is using the JavaScript version. So that's fine. Now, WebGPT. How does this work? Well, we picked all the tiles that are necessary here. We have the buffer memory, we have the chat OpenAI in a couple of different places, and OpenAI embeddings, and the conversational agent. Okay, so our conversational agent here allows us, is using different tools, like in this case, using a web browser, but it could use other tools as well. And it's using a web browser to go out there and do a search for whatever it is that you wish to search for. It's then using chat OpenAI and some conversational memory to actually have a chat session about the contents of a certain website. And the coolest part about this tool is, as probably a few of you already know, is that you can chat, you can line up these tiles, you can set everything up, you can get your OpenAI key, all right, from openai.com or chat OpenAI. Just Google OpenAI. The last thing you need to use Google for is to find the chat GPT site. But yeah, OpenAI API key. Once you sign up to their service, you get the key. You put the key in here. You get to specify what the model is that you want to chat with. You want to make it a little bit cheaper. Well, actually quite a bit cheaper. Go with the turbo. And in most cases, like this one right here, I probably go with the turbo. So what's happening here? Our conversational agent is allowed to use a tool or use a web browser whenever necessary. And how do we test all this out? There, it's right here on the side. I'll even clear this out. Okay, so what do? Hopefully we are able to basically pull up whatever question from a website. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to ask it, what is at raykit.com? It's a friend of mine's AI website, house flipping software AI website. So what's at Raykit? Okay, and it's going to take a few seconds. Let's give it a pause. Okay, while it's waiting for that, let's check out what a cat fighting a macaw looks like. All right, that's not a cat, but this one actually is, with some kind of a phoenix. Ooh, dope. How did I do this? Midjourney AI through Discord. You guys got to check it out. Look at all this crazy stuff that it creates. It's pretty wild. So, where were we? Still thinking. And boom. Raykit is a comprehensive real estate investment software that helps you manage leads, automate follow-up, systems analyze. Beautiful, right? Look at this. So what's happening here? Well, this model that is set up here, this flow, is actually being fully functional chatbot. It's calling out to raykit.com using the web browser. It's creating embeddings. And so it's doing, when it says web browser, what does that mean? That means that behind the scenes, there's a Langchain agent going out and doing a parsing of the website, grabbing all that information, embedding all that information. If you guys don't know, embedding is just breaking it down into numbers and then seeing which numbers are the closest to each other, and then using OpenAI to try to understand and figure out what is actually going on with that information in the chat-like state. Why do we have two OpenAI chats here? Because the web browser is being, the information that's gathered in the web browser and then embedded, converted into numbers, and then use all kinds of fancy mathematical formulas to find out which numbers are the closest to each other and do all kinds of groupings. All right. Well, all of that is then being translated and understood by an OpenAI agent. We have a second one here because that's the one that we're actually conversing with. Okay, that's the conversational agent is using a chat model. And you can see that whenever there's an asterisk next to each of these, it's a required tool that has to be connected. All right. And the way it's connected is that when you close this out, you just come over here and hover over, all right, and drag this line over to the other point. Boom, it's connected. So this chat module is being used by the conversational agent in order to actually have a chat about the website content that is being scraped by our web browser module, that is then being converted in the scraping is being converted into something legible by chat OpenAI, and everything is being digitized in the sense so that it's not big giant text of everything that came down from that website. OpenAI embeddings is managing breaking everything down into chunks. So and then the buffer memory itself is necessary in order to maintain the conversation, because OpenAI, it doesn't have any kind of a maintenance of states, so it doesn't know what you sent or asked for it earlier. You need a buffer memory in order to keep sending whatever the responses were along with your new request over into OpenAI in order to have a conversation. So this is how these chats are laid out. You do a save. You can then test out the chat by asking it questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be a question about the web, whatever the web browser is searching for or returning, but that's what this flow is used for. Now, what else can we do? Let's go real quick to a couple of other things that it does. So it has some really cool things, like if we check out the marketplace itself, it's got an API agent. Give an API document, agent automatically decides which API to call. All right, this is really cool. These are actually really awesome workflows. I'm very excited to try these out because now we can start to kind of do some more advanced tooling, I think, with these flows, because it's going out there and able to pull stuff and pull information from API, which is just in the web address that has some JSON data, and then manipulate that data, and then we can have conversations with that. So that means that you can have scripts and application that do stuff in the background that then these flows pick up on. So AutoGPT, autonomous agent chain of thought. So it looks like it uses website or Google search or some type of a search. It writes to a file and reads to a file things that it finds on the internet, and uses a pinecone load existing index. Okay, so it uses a pinecone index retriever. It gets information from a pinecone database, when the database stores these embeddings, right, the numbers. So pinecone is a database that specializes in storing the embeddings, which are, digitized words. No, digitized, like actually converted into numbers. And then pinecone stores all of that. So this is another really, really cool template worth you guys checking out. Let's take a look at the ones that I've come up with here, and that is the multi-doc chat. Okay, what do we have happening here? And how do we read these? Well, the flows are going from the left to the right and ending up on the right. So on the right, what we have is a conversational retrieval QA chain. We have a chain that speaks to whatever or creates a conversational chat-like session with whatever's happening behind it. And what do we do? How do we get all this? Well, this one is located, a conversational retrieval QA chain is located here in the chain section. Okay, so you just grab it, drag it, drop it. There it is. All right. Since we already have it, we're going to pull out all of these other tiles. So go ahead and locate the other tiles. These are going to be under, so we got the conversational one. We got the embeddings here. All right. OpenAI embeddings. That's going to match this one right here. We got the tools. So the PDF file is going to be under tools. There we, is it? No. Where's PDF file? Let's find it. Let's find it by going here, and PDF is a document loader. Okay, duh. So under document loaders, we got PDF, we got token text splitters here. All right, so let's get rid of this, and a token text splitter. Is it under the document one? No, but it should be text splitter. Blind man. So checking things out here. I also use recursive, but most of the time, yeah, token text splitter. Very good. So that's where those tiles are coming from. Drag them out there. What do we got going on here? So this is a multi-doc chat. All right, I'm going to use this one as a good example of what is possible here. What's happening here? We got a conversational QA retrieval chain. This is going to be a chatbot that speaks to multiple documents. It's got not only documents, but also some information from a website. So what do we got? We got PDF file, and then we got a Cheerio web scraper. So we're going to be going out there. It was going to be yanking information from a website. I'm going to use my sign up form. By the way, guys, check out again the link in the description and sign up to this. And then just take this moment to like and subscribe, or hate and subscribe, or never, subscribe and never watch again. But I'd love to hear from you in the comment. Let me know what use cases you'd like to see with Flowise. And yeah, definitely check out this bundle here. I think you guys will find this incredibly informative, as I have. I've been collecting all of these for a long time now. And I have a very thorough collection of Colab notebooks and GitHub repos. So let's continue. Where were we? So yeah, Flowise, boom. We are doing a couple of things here. We're checking out 2 different PDF documents. You can have many more. You can have a whole directory of documents in it. And then we're going to be scraping a website. The website we're going to be scraping is going to be the sign up form, and see where we're going to get some information from that. Now, where you go is you make some modifications, you save it. We got the message that the chat flow was saved. Come in here. So what do we have? What do we have here in our first PDF? All right. Well, let's see. Let's just go over a quick flow. We got the conversational retrieval QA chain. We have the OpenAI chat model is going to be speaking to the conversational, is going to be used by the chain in order to have a conversation with whatever's happening here in the vector store. And the vector store is going to be our Pinecone upsert document vector store. So upsert document, it's going to push whatever documents that we select here to Pinecone database. And Pinecone database, I will show you exactly how to go about creating that one. What is Pinecone? It is a vector store database, and we're going to create an index, and that's where we're going to store the information from our website or PDF files and or PDF files. And I'll also show you guys how to not only use all three, but also be able to segment and only do queries against one or the other or multiple. So what do we have? We got the Pinecone upsert document. In the Pinecone tab here, tile, we're going to be putting in the Pinecone API key. We're going to specify the environment. We're going to specify the index, and we're going to specify the namespace that is going to be created for our multi-doc chat. So the index is the overarching, I guess you can say, folder, and then the namespaces are individual files. It's not really that, but that's how a good way to visualize or conceptualize. So in the embeddings, we of course have to use some kind of an embedding engine so that everything that we get from the PDF files and the website here, it gets converted into embeddings and then gets upserted into Pinecone a database. And then the token splitter is what it breaks everything down into chunks, and then those chunks are then embedded and sent up over into Pinecone. So if we were to then open up here, and what do we have here, by the way? We have a PDF file that we uploaded, which is Bitcoin .pdf. It's the Bitcoin white paper, and my tax bill from H&R Block, which I hate, but similar documents that you guys might have, you can chat with them. What else we have here is the web scraper. So if I was to ask our chat here what is Bitcoin, need that. So if we were to ask it what's Bitcoin, after a few seconds of thinking, it's going to tell us that Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. How does it know? Well, because there's a Bitcoin white paper that's been uploaded here as a PDF. And also, if I was to ask what is the tax bill, okay, I owe $49.09 in California tax. Boo! But as you can see, it's actually able to pull information straight out of the H&R Block PDF where it has my tax bill. And I'll use that as an example because what Bitcoin is fairly commonly known. So some of these chat agents or some of these chats, they pull Bitcoin anyway. But the tax bill, of course, it could not possibly be anywhere out there on the internet. So this is pulling from here. Now, another cool feature is that there's this additional parameter button. What is this additional parameter and what's going on here, right? It's the metadata, okay? So it's the metadata that we can assign to each of these either documents or, for this example, like the web scraper, all right? Then what do I have here? Well, I have a document type that I can specify that we can then isolate and use in searches later on if we want to speak to something just very specific. Let's say we have a couple of different pages, and while we do have this one multi-doc chat, we can set it up so that only one of these documents or a combination of the documents is being referenced when the person is creating the chat. So when we go to additional parameters here, we can select the doc type and then give it an ID. So this is the format. All right, give it a good look. All right, and there's multiple ways that it's formatted. There could be what ID without the quotes and then ID with the quotes. So it seems to be working much better for me when it's ID without the quotes. But the way to do that there's two check marks here, is that if you hit the top check mark, it leaves quotes. If you hit the bottom check mark under the actual value, it goes without the quotes. So without the quotes seem to work better with me, but it doesn't. I'm not sure if that actually matters too much. So this is the format. We go to additional parameters. We're able to specify the document type, which is going to be PDF for these two. And then I have PDF1, ID1, and I have PDF ID2. In this one, in our web scraper, I have document type URL scrape. Okay. And I'm able to scrap up to 20 links down. Okay. So what's that used for? Well, when it's uploaded to the Pinecone database, the metadata of document type and ID is used to create specific sections or specific kind of tags of the metadata in Pinecone. Now, what do we do in Pinecone? Well, in Pinecone, let's create an index. All right, we're gonna delete an index, and then we're gonna create an index, and let's do a delete one so that I can show you guys how to create everything from scratch. All right, so we're gonna go to Pinecone. We're gonna go to Pinecone indexes, and in index we're gonna create our index. We're gonna give it a name. I will do test savant for my index, and then dimensions we have to do 1536. This is 1536 dimensions, so that our vector database is going to be able to absorb. This is a very specific number, and make sure that you use 1536 because that's what OpenAI embeddings create. Now, it's a funky thing because, as you know, we have 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimension. This is 1536 dimension database. So conceptualize that while you're on the toilet. All right, we're going to do create index, and it's going to give us an environment here, which in my case seems to be often Asia Northeast 1 GCP. And let's make a note of that, because when we go into Flowise, we got to make sure that the Pinecone environment that we're selecting is that. All right. And once this gets created, you're going to be able to see that our index, okay, our index here is going to be called test savant, and our Pinecone namespace is multi-doc chat. So test savant index, okay, environment, test savant index, and Pinecone namespace multi-doc chat. That's how it's all linked. Also, you're going to have to grab the Pinecone API key, and that is picked up right here. All right, piece of cake. So once we're finished initializing, we'll be able to query this again. And every time we send a message over or ask for a query, I'll show you what that looks like. Our total vectors actually starts to increase. Why is that increasing? Well, because in our flow here, we're using the upsert document. So every time we do a query, Pinecone goes over, checks out our documents, finds what it needs, and then embeds, OpenAI embeds it, and sends it over to Pinecone into the multi-doc namespace. So it does that every time. And I'm going to show you in a second how we don't need to do that every time. We just need to do that once. Okay. Boom. So now we're back to 0 because we just reinstated this whole entire index. And if I was to go in here and just double check, make sure that we do save. When you see the little asterisk next to the name, it means we have to save. And let's take a look back again at what is the tax bill. All right. So here we go, real time. Let's see how long it takes. While it's taking, all right, here we go. Look at that. You see that? You see that magic? 22. And our bill is 4909. So it pulled up 4909. It created the additional vectors in the namespace multi-doc chat, and it also created metadata, that metadata that we specified over here. And how is that metadata important? Well, if we go out here and we take a look at this little quick, simple one, chat with vectors, how is this different? Well, this one is using the pinecone load existing index, which we already have, which we already created. When we did a query against those documents, right, we already created this index. Now, it might not have questions against, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we can do. So we'll specify the OpenAI embeddings. We put in the OpenAI key. We'd use the OpenAI chatbot, which is, in this case, is a fairly simple one because it's not, this isn't like OpenAI chat version. This is just a language model. So Text DaVinci is going to be giving us like simple summaries about what's going on in our Pinecone database, right? And so in that database, what we can do is we can go to the additional parameters, and this is where we're able to specify what we want to read based on the metadata we created in that other flow. So here we're able to pull in document either 1 or 2 or that web scraped information that when created in that other flow was upserted into the database, into the Pinecone database with this metadata. And now we're able to query this metadata specifically or limit. So we don't really need to query anything, right? Limit. So if I was to save and then say, is the tax bill. Let's see what comes back. All right. 4909. You see what's happening? We connected to that same index. And now if I was to go over here, it's still 22, right? Because we didn't create anything. We just read from there. So really, really cool. If I was to now go in here and do, let's say, ID, all right? And then we're going to specify, come back in, and we're going to specify ID 1. Now, ID 1, if you remember, was the Bitcoin white paper. It wasn't the tax bill. So let's see if we limit now to the Bitcoin white paper is the tax bill. Guys, it doesn't know. It does not know. You clueless bastard. This is why. This is why. You see? You see, if we then specify 2, save, go over here. What is the tax bill? Come on. Don't disappoint me. 49. Magnifique. So you see what's going on here? We're able to separate that information. We're able to use the additional parameters here to create the metadata. The metadata then is filtered when we look for something, and we're able to specify exactly what document or none at all that we want to limit this stuff to. Now, what do we do with all this? I know some of you have been asking, what do we do with all this? All right, we got this flow. What now? Well, this button. This is where it all this is where it all goes. And this is the magic. This is the real magic, all right? So you can also specify a version. Oh, this is some new feature. This is interesting. All right, so what we got here? We got ability to embed in a website or use as an API. So this is the embed, and this is the API. Now I like to use Python, and JavaScript, and this is the command line, but I most oftentimes will do with Python. I'm going to show you how I did that. Very simple. First of all, the embed. You just grab this whole thing, just copy it, and let's go take a look at my HTML. The HTML that I showed you earlier, which had my silly ass super simple website, chatbot demo site. Well, where do you think this one comes from? Where do you think it comes from? Well, it's powered by Flowise. That's where. Look at this. It's right in my super duper simple, silly HTML page. This is it. This is my HTML page. You guys know HTML. You probably known HTML since what? 2000, 1995. All right. We got our HTML. We got the header. All kinds of header, background color, blah, blah, blah. Just easy to generate. Our header, here's my title, here's everything. And then at some point, anywhere at the point, go ahead and put the script in. Put the script in, and that's it. That's all it takes. So this script, this embed script, look at that, script to script. And here it is. All you have to do, save that HTML, open up that HTML page. Where are you? HTML page. There it is. So what do we have going on here? We have a local HTML page that's going out to a server in render. So it's online. So our local HTML is picking up the chatbot from the API that's online. And here we can go, what is the tax bill? A few moments later, what we can see, if I sit here with my fingers crossed, and we all cross our fingers, we sit there and we all chant, come on, what is the tax bill? Come in. 4909. Look at that. Beautiful. And just to show you guys that this isn't magic. All right, let's go back here. Let's go back to, well, it wants me to save, and it wants to save anytime you move around, so don't get too confused about it. But we want to go back here. We'll go back to the multi-doc chat one. Okay, and actually we don't even need to do that. We'll just go back to the chat one, and if I go and open up the parameters, we're going to modify this. We're going to set this to 1. We're going to come in here. We're going to save it. We're going to come in here. We're going to go, what is the tax bill? Let's give it a moment. Our expectation is that it's I don't know. I don't know is exactly what we got back. Let's ask it, what is the tax bill? And there you have it, guys. It does not know. It is the best I don't know I've ever seen. So it works. That's how it works. Now, do you want to see it how it ends up in a super simple fancy AI chatbot? Well, it's pretty much the same thing. If you go over here in Flowise and we open up this code embed or API and we actually use the API, well, take a look at it. It's the API URL, all right? In this case, it's the HTML, it's the URL of where we have the service working. So it could have been the local one, but in this case, it's on render, which is awesome. That means this API is available to us online, and we can access this from local applications or any application as long as we make a call over to this API URL. And it already gives us a definition here of a query that takes the payload, which is our hey, how are you question. All right, so it says definition of a query is that it's going to take some payload. All right, and here we go. Here's the query with the payload. And the response is going to be a response from the API URL with your payload. And the payload is, again, is our query, and is going to return the response JSON. And it's going to be right here. Right here, little put right there. So what do? We take this, all right, we grab this over here, and we copy it, and we come over here, and we put this into our application. And we put it into our, in this case, it's a Streamlit application. It could be a G-Radio application. It could be a local, like, desktop app application like TK. All we're doing is we're importing the Streamlit application. It's going to be the UI, and then importing the requests. And the requests is an HTTP library written in Python for human beings, and to get the GET request. So we specify the API URL. There's our URL. And here is our request post API URL with the JSON payload. Okay. And the response from this case goes into race for status. It goes through some error handling stuff that I put in here. All right. And returns to us a JSON result. So we try to get the URL. If anything happens, you get yourself one of these error messages. And if not, we at some point basically get an output. And then we take that output and initialize the conversation history. You can do some things, right? Here's my title, super simple fancy AI chatbot. Here we do the user input, and all I got to do is come over here and say super fancy AI chatbot is the tax bill. Uh-oh. Not found. Oh, it's because we have to update, right? So let's update. Let's update because it's probably pointing somewhere else. So let's take a look at this. All we have to do is update the actual API URL. All right, let's go back into the code here. I'm going to update this URL. Actually, look the same. Let me check out what's going on. Okay, updated the URL. Let's take a look. Let's just refresh for shits and giggles, and then is the tax bill. Boom. It doesn't know. All right. Well, just to show you that it's just not stupid. Let's go back to the ID. Don't forget that it's pointing to our Bitcoin, right? Our white paper. So let's take a look at what is proof of work. Okay, and while it's doing that, again, guys, don't forget, like and subscribe, please, and leave a message with whatever use cases you think I should try to get and implement in Flowise later. And check out the link to the GitHub repos and the Colab notebooks. So I really appreciate all of you. I cannot believe I'm actually over 700 subscribers now. I was at shock and awe when there was 100. It's absolutely amazing, and I really appreciate all of you guys and all of your time. So what is proof of work? Well, proof of work is a system used to implement distributed timestamp server on a peer-to-peer basis. So there's our Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin white paper. Let's go back in here. Let's switch it over to my tax bill, which was ID 2. We're going to save. We're going to go back here. We're going to ask it, what is the tax bill? and the tax bill 4909. I hope you guys can see how this is all linked now, what it's doing, what we're doing when we're building these applications and where we're speaking to Flowise in the back end. And I hope you can see how there's many possibilities. I think that I hope you and myself, I'm going to be working on as well to try to conceptualize. Documentation is very thin in Flowise, so it's up to us to try to come up with these use cases and work through them and figure out how these flows can be connected. We can do multiple flows. We can do multiple API calls to different flows. We can have flows that are speaking to APIs, that are writing to documents, that are reading these documents. So let's put our brains together and try to figure out some crazy flows and some interesting ways that we can apply all this. So I appreciate your time. I hope you guys learned something, and if you have, then share this with a friend or a loved one. And until next time, I wish you well. Take care.